Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhania. The headlines that we're tracking for you this Thursday evening. The Sensex and the Nifty declined for the third day, ending at the lowest level in nearly a month. Bank stocks tumble, mid-caps buck the trend, end in the green. Global markets remain subdued after Fitch downgraded US credit ratings. Billionaire investor Warren Buffett and JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon dismissed the Fitch decision, saying it will not have any significant impact. Adani Group-owned Ambuja Cement acquires Sanghi Industries at an enterprise value of 5,000 crore rupees, buys nearly 57% in an all-cash deal, will also make an open offer for 26%. The acquisition will help Adani Group achieve its cement capacity goal of 140 million tonnes ahead of the targeted 2028 timeline. A CNBC-TV18 News break is confirmed Singapore's Temasek will invest 1,200 crore rupees in M&M's electric vehicle subsidiary. The deal values the company's EV business at more than $10 billion.
I don't think there's many, if any, airline in the world which has grown from 17 years from basically one flight to 1,850 a day.
Indigo CEO Peter Elber says the airline's record quarterly profit is a result of demand and steps taken by the airline. Adds he doesn't see any major impact on fleet and flight schedule with Pratt & Whitney's engine recall. Also adds the airline will continue to expand its international footprint, but the domestic market continues to be the backbone of growth. Zomato delivers a net profit for the first time ever, sees an improvement in its operational performance, revenue up 71% on a year-on-year basis. The government sets a deadline for pharma companies to comply with revised good manufacturing practices. Large companies get 6 months, smaller companies must comply before July next year. More than 8,000 drug makers in India yet to comply with standards prescribed under Schedule M of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. The much-awaited Digital Data Protection Bill introduced in Parliament. Government sources clarify the bill will not be classified as a money bill after opposition raised concerns. Haryana remains on the edge after communal tensions. Around 165 people have been arrested so far. Isolated incidents of violence have been reported. Mobile internet services curbed in some districts. BJP questions the Congress role in the violence. The Congress, meanwhile, says the state government's inaction is to be blamed. Well, let's head straight to the day's trading action. Weak global cues saw the Lal Street ending low for the third day. The Sensex and the Nifty ended close to 1% lower, so that's the visual on your screens. 145 points lower for the Nifty, 540 points lower as far as the Sensex is concerned. Both the indices ending close to a one-month low. Now, Reliance and financials were the big drags for our markets today, while the Nifty Bank slipped close to 500 points and ended over 1% in the red as well. Mid-caps, though, outperformed with the mid-cap index closing actually almost 94 points higher. Now, blue chips ending 0.25% in the green. Prashant is standing by to take us through the day's trading action. Prashant, the weakness continues for day three for our markets.
Well, we started on the back foot because the handoff from Wall Street was bad. The market actually kept sinking for most of the session. But in the last 60 minutes, there was a bounce. The Nifty on your screen bouncing 100 points from the day's low and ending about 0.75% down. Not that bad. You had the Bank Nifty, which bounced 300 points from the day's low. That had almost a 1% odd cut. Mid caps and small caps did even better. They ended 0.25% higher after being down for most of the session. Now, the pressure on the Nifty came through largely through financials and the Reliance Industries, but day on day, the percentage losses were the most in names like UPL, earnings downgrades there, Titan reacting to numbers, margin miss, ONGC, Bajaj Finserv and Nestle. What stood out were names like Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises and Eicher Motors, which was up as well. Broader market gains in names like Dixon. There was a news of ban of making import of laptops and tablets more restrictive. Dixon reacted very favorably. Indiabulls Housing has had a fantastic run that continues. KSB Pumps, Poonawalla FinCorp, Mankind, Loris, Karnataka Bank reacting to numbers. Shilpa Medicare, Sanghi Industries. There was, of course, a deal and a name like UFO Movies, which is back in 3 digits. Losses in Vedanta on the back of that block. Indigo, run-up has been good. Numbers were not bad, but stock sulked. You had Godrej Properties, Delta Corp, LIC Housing, HDFC AMC and Dream Folks, which were the other names. Now, U.S. market stability is key. We've had 2 days of selling. It's been less than 2%. Will we get more? I think that will depend on what U.S. markets really give us as cues when we come back tomorrow morning. To be sure, there is profit booking, there is pullback, but there is no panic. Back to you.
Yes, absolutely. Prashant, many thanks for joining us. As Prashant was mentioning, global stock markets remain subdued after Fitch's downgrade of U.S. credit ratings. Wall Street posted its worst drop in 5 months, with the S&P 500 declining 1.4%. European markets also opened with sharp cuts. Most Asian markets closing in the red, with only the Shanghai Composite Index recording marginal gains. Speaking to CNBC, billionaire investor Warren Buffett dismissed the Fitch downgrade. He said, and I quote, "There are some things people shouldn't worry about. This is one of them." End of quote. Buffett also added that Berkshire has been buying $10 billion worth of U.S. Treasury for the last 2 weeks, and it will continue to do so next week as well. And JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon also said that he believes the Fitch downgrade, and I quote, "doesn't really matter." Speaking with CNBC, Dimon said that the United States credit is sound. The country should get rid of the debt ceiling. Take a look.
It doesn't really matter that much. The markets decide. It's not the rating agencies who make these big decisions. Number two, they point out some issues which we all knew about our debt ceiling crisis and things like that. But number three, most important, the American public, this is the most prosperous nation on the planet. It's still the most prosperous nation on the planet. It's the most secure nation on the planet. And I would point out to the rating agency, I could, that there are a bunch of countries rated higher than us, like AAA, but they live under the American enterprise military system. To have them be AAA and not America is kind of ridiculous. We have the Atlantic and the Pacific, the best military, the best economy the world's ever seen, the most innovation. The credit is sound. It should be the highest rated credit in the world. And yes, there are issues about, they're being raised publicly. I agree with that. We should get rid of the debt ceiling.
Well, that's Jamie Dimon on the Fitch downgrade of the U.S. credit markets. Now, Morgan Stanley has upgraded India's rating to overweight as it believes the country is poised for sustained economic growth, even as the world is slowing down. The upgrade comes 4 months after the brokerage firm elevated India to equal weight. Meanwhile, Morgan Stanley has cut China's rating to equal weight and Australia to underweight. So that's the big equity call coming in there from Morgan Stanley. India's services sector touching a 13-year high in July on the back of strong demand. As per the S&P Purchasing Managers Index, the boost in services activity was largely led by a pickup in international sales. The services PMI has remained above the 50 mark now for 2 years, which indicates a steady growth in the sector. The big corporate story today, Adani Group-owned Ambuja Cements has acquired Sanghi Industries at an enterprise value of 5,000 crore rupees, buying nearly 57% in an all-cash deal. It will also make an open offer for an additional 26% stake. The acquisition will help the Adani Group achieve its cement capacity goal of 140 million tonnes ahead of the targeted 2028 timeline. We told you first, and it is now official. Mahindra & Mahindra's electric vehicle arm has announced that a subsidiary of Temasek will invest 1,200 crore rupees in the unit. The investment will value M&M's EV business at over 80,500 crore rupees. This is the highest valuation for any EV company in India. In fact, in a conversation with me earlier, Anish Shah, the MD and CEO of Mahindra Group, had said that they were looking at diluting up to 3% stake in the EV business. Take a look.
We have never actively looked for funding in our EV business. Even when BII came in, we had discussions with them at that point on a variety of things across the group. And they were very interested in EV. And we said that we have enough capital. We are generating enough funds in our auto business. So we really don't need it right now. BII has come in with a 2.5% to 3% stake. And we may look at another 2.5% to 3% stake at some point in time.
So that is an investment into M&M's electric vehicle subsidiary by Temasek. Shares of Zomato up in trade after the online food delivery platform reported its first ever profit of 2 crore rupees. Manglam breaks down the numbers for us. Malu, take us through the Zomato report card profit for the very first time.
Well, it's a historic moment indeed. Zomato's reported a profit for the first time and one of the first new age companies rather, to report profitability after listing, apart from Nykaa, which was already profitable. So let's talk about the overall business for the company. 17.5% growth in their revenues quarter on quarter. The EBITDA loss has narrowed from 226 crores to just about 48 odd crores, and the company has made other income worth 181 crores. This compares with 171 crores, and as a result of which, on the bottom line, there is a profit of 2 crores versus a big loss of 188 odd crores. So what led the business this time around? The core business, food business, saw a revenue growth of 17% quarter on quarter, and there was a big jump in their operational performance as well. Margins expanded from 7% to 13.6%. The other investment businesses continue to do well. 29% jump is what we saw in their Hyperpure business, whereas Quick Commerce saw a revenue growth of 5.8% quarter on quarter. Out there as well, they remained operationally profitable on the EBIT level. The stock spiked to the high point of trade towards the end.
All right, Mangalam, many thanks for joining us. Here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Indigo CEO Peter Elbers has attributed the airline's record quarterly profit of over 3,000 crore rupees to a combination of demand as well as steps taken by the airline. Speaking to me after releasing the first quarter numbers, Elbers said Indigo is the only airline in the world to have grown from 0 to 1,850 flights per day in the last 17 years. That's the journey that it's been on. He also said he's very confident that the Pratt & Whitney engine recall, which starts in September, will not impact Indigo's fleet significantly or its flight schedule. He said Pratt & Whitney will only take single-digit engines out of the 200 engines it is intending to inspect in the first phase. That is, of course, a global recall, not just India-specific. Elbers also dismissed reports of Indigo eyeing a stake in Go First. Listen in.
I'm not reacting to any rumors, but Indigo is focusing on develop our own company. We have a steady flow. I mean, even before we placed the most recent mammoth order of 500 aircraft, we already had 470-ish aircraft yet to be delivered. So we're in a strong position to build our company and build our brand, and that's really our focus going forward. I don't think there's many, if any, airline in the world which has grown from 17 years from basically one flight to 1,850 a day, and to this year hopefully 100 million customers. But with that 100 million customers and that size of the operation, we're in fact expanding also and making sure that we work and collaborate with young, innovative, new startups and companies. And for that, a fund like this could help us to work together, to collaborate, and to see for opportunities to continue to be ahead of the pack.
And you can catch that exclusive conversation with the CEO of Indigo Airlines at 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. You can visit our website, cnbc-tv18.com, for more stories from that interview. We will head into a break, but up next, Haryana remains on the edge after communal tensions. Around 165 people arrested so far. Isolated incidents of violence have been reported. That and more when we return. Haryana remains on the edge following violent communal clashes. Around 165 people have been arrested so far. Isolated incidents of violence have also been reported in parts of the New district. Mobile internet services have been curbed in some areas, including New, Faridabad and Palwal. State continues to see heavy deployment of police and paramilitary forces. But despite that, the clashes have created a sense of panic, forcing migrant workers to flee. My colleague Abhimanyu Sharma and Anvit Srivastava report from Farooq Nagar and New on the impact of the recent clashes on business.
We are currently standing in the Farooq Nagar area of Gurugram on the road which leads up to Pataudi. This market located in Farooq Nagar is operating as usual. Most of the shops are open like all other establishments, educational institutes and offices in Gurugram, with the exception of a few shops which have been closed since the past few days. When we spoke to shopkeepers in this market, they said that these shops have been closed since the past few days, since many shopkeepers have fled for their safety and have either gone to their hometowns or are refusing to open their shops.
यहाँ ऐसा कोई झगड़ा नहीं हुआ, लेकिन कुछ लोग जो है अपनी दुकानें जो अदर कास्ट के थे वो अपनी दुकानें बढ़ा के चले गए डर के मारे. वैसे हुआ यहाँ कुछ नहीं.
The state administration has said that the situation is normal in Gurugram, and state forces as well as central forces have been deployed not just in Gurugram but in all parts of Haryana, including New and Sona.
पूरी जगहों पे फोर्स पूरी तरह डिप्लॉयड है. करीब 14 कंपनी बाहर से बुलाई गई हैं जो कि सेंट्रल पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस की हैं, और 21 कंपनियां जो हरियाणा पुलिस की हैं वो अपार्ट फ्रॉम द न्यू पुलिस वो यहाँ पर डिप्लॉयड है. चप्पे चप्पे पर पुलिस की डिप्लॉयमेंट है. दिन और रात में पूरी तरह से निगरानी रखी जा रही है.
लगभग 22 एफआईआर रजिस्टर्ड हो चुकी हैं. ऐसे जो भी इंसिडेंट रिपोर्टेड हुए हैं गुड़गांव के अंदर, सभी के ऊपर गहनता से मॉनिटर करा जा रहा है, उन चीज़ों को इन्वेस्टिगेट करा जा रहा है, और केसेस हैज़ ऑलरेडी बीन रजिस्टर्ड इन नंबर ऑफ 22, जिसके अंदर अभी तक गुड़गांव पुलिस ने जो इन केसेस एफआईआर रजिस्टर्ड हैं उनके अंदर 21 आदमियों को अरेस्ट कर चुकी है.
Other than those who have lost their lives and those who were injured in the riots in New, the worst hit people are the daily wage laborers. You can see as hundreds of them are fleeing New right now because they've been claiming that for the past 3 days since curfew has been imposed, they have no work, there have been no earnings for them, and they have also been threatened by locals to leave the area following the communal tension. Many of them belong to Jhansi and Rajasthan, and they are leaving New for Palwal, from where they can probably get some basis of commuting to Rajasthan so that they can live a normal life. They have uncertainty looming over their future, and that is the reason why they are leaving this place, this district, to go to another state in search of work. Their contractors have been missing, they have not been taking calls, the internet in the district is shut, and therefore they are leaving this place in search for work. Now, as uncertainty looms over their coming days and over their future and the future of the kids that they have with them, more than 500 or 600 of them who lived in New have already left the district, while others are preparing to leave.
Well, as our reporters have been telling us, the situation on the ground when it comes to migrant workers, the labour, many are now being forced to leave Gurugram, leave the impacted districts and head back home. We will have to wait to see whether this exodus continues, and we also will have to wait to see how long before they start to make a return. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. The news will continue. We're back on the other side after a short break.